Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're heading to Zimbabwe. We're going to explore the latest approach to a long-standing challenge. This challenge is their power shortages they keep having. The government just made a bold move and it could change the energy landscape in the country. So what's this announcement that was made? It's pretty much just check it out. It says Zimbabwean mines given 2-year window to set up power plants. So that's the announcement that was made. It's a pretty big and bold move to take. Zimbabwe has a complex history with power generation. For decades, the country has grappled with blackouts and unreliable electricity grid. This has a major impact on people's lives. As you can imagine, it hinders the economy, stopping people from being able to do what they do on a regular basis, affecting production within a given country, such as manufacturing, mining, and anything really that requires electricity. So you can imagine being in a country that's struggling to just supply enough electricity to its citizens within the country. This is a major problem. So apparently Zimbabwe's power shortages are estimated to cost the country a total of 6.1% of GDP per year. So that is just massive. So that's a lot of productivity just lost, all because the country doesn't have enough electricity. So that's the latest twist on what's happening in Zimbabwe. So the government just announced this new policy. They are turning to the booming mining sector and saying, hey guys, you guys are demanding a lot of power from us. It's time that you guys make your own power. So this is a bold move, and I would say not really controversial, because in many places around the world, industries that require a lot of electricity, they tend to produce their own power in-house near their facilities, like their factories or manufacturing hubs, whatever it may be. So it's high time something like this happens in Zimbabwe. So this decision makes sense when you consider the situation in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe's economy is projected to grow, especially in the mining and smelting sector. This surge will push electricity demand beyond 3,000 megawatts within the next 2 years. So this whole industry that's booming in the country is just hungry for power. They need it to be able to do more work and be productive. The mining sector, particularly the lithium and large projects like the new Denison Iron and Steel Company, are expected to be the biggest energy guzzlers for the country. They alone are projected to need something about 2,600 megawatts of power daily. That's a massive amount of electricity that we currently can't even produce. To tackle this challenge, the government is putting the onus on these high consumption industries, especially ferrochrome miners. They've implemented a policy requiring them to develop their own renewable generation plants, like solar power. This shifts some responsibility for power generation from the government to the private sector, aiming for a more balanced approach. So it's a big move, it's clever, I like it. The clock is ticking on these miners. They have 2 years starting this year in 2024 to set up their own power plants. Some of these companies have already taken action, with solar projects expected to start running by the end of this year. So going solar is a pretty clever play, because solar projects take far less time to establish than conventional gas-powered power stations or coal-fired power stations. Going solar is far more economical to these guys, because it's far cheaper to establish a solar power plant than it is the other conventional power generation plants. And the added advantage is they'll stop having to pay for their own electricity from the current supplier in the country, which is ZESA. So it will be beneficial for them to start making their own power. This move could have several benefits. By generating their own power, mines will be able to reduce the strain on the national grid. This frees up the capacity for ZESA, which is the Zimbabwe Electricity Supply Authority, to connect more homes, hospitals, and businesses to the grid. So it will be a massive win-win, because ZESA no longer has to worry about not having enough power to supply to the rest of the country. Despite recent efforts with new power plants, Zimbabwe still faces power deficits that can range anywhere from 200 megawatts to 500 megawatts daily. So as recent as last year, the Wange coal-fired power station added more units to be able to produce more power to supply to the national grid. But unfortunately, that still isn't enough because the country is demanding far more than what we are producing. For example, in 2020, the available generation capacity was sitting at around 1,585 megawatts compared to the peak demand of 1,900 megawatts, forcing power outages of 12 to 14 hours a day, which is ridiculous to even think about because most people who live around the world don't really get to experience that, so they don't really know. So there's still a gap to bridge between what we're currently producing and what we currently need in the country. And relying solely on mines for power generation diversification raises questions about long-term sustainability. We need a long-term plan, a proper roadmap for sustainable growth. However, this push for renewable energy is a step in the right direction. It allows us to diversify the energy mix with combinations from sources such as solar, hydropower, compared to the traditional methods of generating power. This can definitely help us reduce load shedding that's taking place in the country right now as we speak. Speaking of solar energy, a company called Centrogrid, located in Nyambira in Zimbabwe, recently announced that they will add about 25 megawatts to the grid, and their power plant is projected to add an additional 100 megawatts in the near future. So this is another major announcement that came from Zimbabwe. It's an important step in the right direction because it allows more players to enter the energy market for Zimbabwe, and solar is definitely the cheapest way that Zimbabwe can finally be able to produce more than enough power. Hopefully this definitely helps facilitate our economy to grow further into the future. So all these announcements have been absolutely fantastic to hear. The government has taken a bold step in making these power-hungry sectors to produce their own energy. Will it be enough to solve their power woes in the country? I wonder. Please, let's discuss this in the comments below. I would like to know what you think. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a good approach from the government to be doing this? What other solutions do you think Zimbabwe can explore? Tell me what you think. So until next time, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please, as always, subscribe. I'd like to see you on the next episode. Bye.